Welcome to Community Connection. I'm your host, Sarah Clark, and today with me I have Luke Swetland, President and CEO of the Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
Well, thanks for having me, Sarah. It's great to be here.
So I hear you're new to town, relatively new to town, and new as the president and CEO of the Natural History Museum. I'd love for you to tell me a little bit about yourself and where you come from so we can let our viewers know.
Sure. I was lucky enough to be selected as the president of the museum, and I joined in January. So my wife and I moved here from Los Angeles, and we've just been overwhelmed by the hospitality and warmth that continues to be extended to us by everyone we meet.
And were you at another natural history museum, or is that your background?
I've been in the museum business for over 20 years, but not in a natural history museum. A lot of history and cultural history museums. In LA, I was at the Autry National Center, which is a Western art and history museum, where I was serving as the interim head before coming here.
So you feel right at home here, being at a museum again.
Being at a museum is the place I want to be, absolutely.
Well, wonderful. Well, tell us a little bit about what's happening at the museum right now and where you see it going.
Sure, thank you. Well, I think as everyone knows, because I think most people have visited the museum at some point, we serve over 250,000 visitors every year at the museum in Mission Canyon and at our Sea Center at Stearns Wharf, both residents and tourists alike. And what we are all about is helping people have a connection with nature, understand nature, understand natural science, because we do science on site, and bringing people together with that science and with nature. So by understanding our natural world and our place in it, we all will learn to live a little bit more lightly on the planet.
That's wonderful. So what are some of those more specific programs that the museum offers to our community?
We offer school tours. We bring in over 20,000 school children in organized school groups every year, and they have an educator-led tour that's aligned with state and now the emerging national curriculum. We give people an opportunity to get outside and engage with nature in a very direct way. We have a lot of kids that have never been outside, and playing soccer does not mean you have a really meaningful experience with nature. So what we do is we get kids to go play in the dirt, go jump in the creek, and a lot of those kids say, first, is it safe? I don't want to touch the dirt. The dirt has germs. And so a lot of what we're trying to do is help kids and their families have a direct engagement with nature that demystifies it, doesn't make it, takes away the scary factor, makes it comfortable, because from when you start to really love something, then you're willing to pay some attention to how you take care of it. And that's really what we're all about.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that's so wonderful about our museum and the Sea Center is we do live on this beautiful coastline, and this is a place where it directly correlates to what we see every day. And you get to go in and feel and touch the sea creatures and get a real sense of our past living in this beautiful location and how we need to work on protecting it as well.
You're absolutely right. Santa Barbara is such a unique region, and our museum really serves as a portal to help people understand the region. But our goal is not to get people to stay in the museum. We want them to go outside and explore the creek, the woodland. We want them to go out into the valley, down to the beach. So we try to provide in our museum and our Sea Center an introduction that prepares people to get out and have the real experience, which is outside.
Great. And let's talk a little bit about the campus revitalization effort and what that's all about. I know the community's heard different information and rumors about possibly new buildings or different things going on. So we'd love to hear more about what the plans are.
Well, I'm really happy to be able to have a chance to let everyone know where we're at in our thinking. I think as a campus that's almost 100 years old, there's just a lot of work that needs to be done with the buildings and with the site. So the museum has spent a number of years comprehensively studying what might be possible and what we should do. We've gone through a couple different iterations that involved considering building new buildings, some comprehensive kind of renovation. And I think we've determined that where we really want to focus over the next few years are on those activities that enhance the visitor experience, how to improve the way people can move around the site and understand the site. How can we refresh exhibits, put in new exhibits without building new buildings or fundamentally changing the look and the feel of the campus? Because that's what people remember, that's what people respond to. But we need to bring fresh, vital content that's very engaging and very relevant into our existing facilities, and just make sure, like we do with our homes, that we take care of the aging infrastructure along the way.
Right, that makes perfect sense. So what does that process look like for finding new, fresh programs, or not programs, but exhibitions and things like that?
Well, over the last few years, the staff, working with some outside consultants, we've really developed some exciting new exhibition ideas. So there will be 2 or 3 new exhibits that we develop in-house. But we also want to take care of the iconic galleries, the Mammal Hall, the Bird Hall, the things that everybody comes back to and remembers. We think there's opportunities to freshen those exhibits, layer in new content based on new scientific research, new ways that people expect to have a museum experience. So we think at the end of the day, people will come back to that museum over and over again. They'll find it very comfortable, but very new and exciting. And that's the perfect balance for that institution in this community.
Absolutely, and it is such, it has such a warm place in everyone's heart in Santa Barbara. It's such, it's a Santa Barbara feel, and I think it'd be a shame to lose that. So I'm so happy to hear that that's the plan, as I think a lot of our viewers will too.
Good.
So tell us a little bit, well first, a lot of people go to the museum. What are some of the things that happens behind the scenes that we don't see?
Well, there is a big area of the museum where we maintain a collection of over 3.5 million artifacts, natural history specimens, and we're growing that collection constantly. Our scientists, and we have 14 science staff that are doing internationally recognized science research. They're describing new species. Our staff has described thousands of new species. So what does that mean? It means we are very much in the center of mapping the state of biodiversity in our region. And by doing that, our scientists, working in collaboration with scientists from all over the world, can understand what changes are happening in our region's biodiversity. And we can begin to understand what of those changes are caused by natural events and what are caused by human impacts.
Wow, well, I definitely didn't know that. There's a lot going on behind the museum exhibits, so that's really exciting. And share with our viewers some of the things that maybe are special highlights of the museum that people should come and see if they haven't seen when they're there before.
I think most people will come back to the museum and they'll remember pushing the rattlesnake button. And that's a great thing for people to come back and engage with the next generation. But I really encourage everyone, when they're done walking through the galleries, go out and take a walk through the woodlands. There you can see some of the animals, some of the birds that you're seeing in the galleries living and doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it's a really wonderful site that we have, and I really encourage people, get outside.
Great. And how can people get involved? Are there volunteer opportunities? How do you encourage people to get involved other than just coming to enjoy it?
We want people to come over and over. We want them to consider becoming members. There's all sorts of benefits to being members. You get invited to special previews of receptions, special behind-the-scene activities. We do have many volunteer opportunities. We have almost 1,000 volunteers that help us do what we do every day. So there's always a place at the museum or the Sea Center for anybody that cares about things wild.
And it sounds like you have such a huge impact on the Santa Barbara community. What else are you hoping to bring to the community with your new role here?
That's a good question. I think our ability to ensure that this institution is revitalized so that it is here to serve the community for the next 100 years is my primary job.
Wonderful. Well, there's so many exciting things going on at the Natural History Museum, and I can't wait to go back and take my son and see what's going to happen with the new revitalization effort, and see what you're going to do with your new strategy and team in place. So thank you so much for all the work that you're doing, and for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Sarah. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you for watching Community Connection. We'll see you next time on Cox 8.